Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making it to the last panel from the last day. Good turnout. Look, we are going to walk you through a session on the vision, commercial strategy, and legacy of the Aramco Stadium. I'm Ignasi Montes. I'm a sports consultant. I've worked in both Europe and the Middle East, and I'm joined by Zakariya Alanwah, who leads the commercialization of the stadium, of the Aramco Stadium. Probably not only this, within the Aramco Stadium. And just for those who may not be familiar with the stadium and with yourself, I think it would be good to start with introducing a bit of both yourself and the project and the scale of the project.
Thank you very much, Ignasi, for this, and thank you everyone for turning up to this. I'm leading the commercial work stream in Aramco Stadium mainly, and this is focused on both generating revenue, I would say, for the facility, as well as taking the level of fan experience to the next level. The venue is being developed by Aramco, and it's in the heart city of Khobar, in a very prime location, I would say, with a footprint of approximately 800,000 square meters, quite a large master plan. And that master plan, as you probably see on the pictures, ranges between things around the lines of the stadium bowl itself, as well as other facilities outside the stadium bowl. 47,000 spectators facility, Category 1 FIFA compliant. It is very well planned to host the very first AFC tournament, which will take place in Saudi in January 2027. And it's one of the new stadiums that are being built in Saudi, or actually the very first stadium that's being built in Saudi for the World Cup. So it will open up the path forward, I would say, for the 11 more stadiums to come in Saudi. So this is mainly in a nutshell with a quick summary, I would say, Ignasi, about the facility. So much more actually in the master plan itself. We have huge areas of commercial spaces, 11,000 square meter approximately. I'd say, I'd proclaim this is maybe double the global benchmark of any typical stadium in the world. And again, the intention is just to do things more than sports. So sports and more in this whole destination, and a daily footfall to the venue.
Touching upon on that, because you say more than sport, and we know this will be a World Cup venue, and obviously World Cup is a historic moment for Saudi. How does the venue, how do you plan to transcend the World Cup? In the end, it's 1 month, right? So it's obviously a historic moment, super important, but what are you planning to do so this is not just a World Cup stadium?
That has been always on our plan since day one, I would say. We took that to heart because in Aramco, we take pride in in our core values, basically, excellence and delivering to the community. And when we started doing this, we looked at the typical stadiums that are being built worldwide. They're always meant for, I don't know, 20, 30 nights at best with match days. And we wanted to make sure that the design itself actually caters for more. So things like what I just mentioned, the spaces outside. The north park of the master plan itself has an open public park for people to come. The stadium itself is fenceless, and this is not typical in Saudi. So we would want to welcome people to come and use the facility throughout the year. The activations that we have planned in mind, the right partnerships, I would say. So all of these ingredients, we have put them together in order to ensure that this facility is operational and supporting the destination on a 365-day per year. We have jogging trail, for example, all around the master plan, cycling tracks as well. So it's literally trying to do it and take it to the next level. So it delivers to the community at the first place and also thrive commercially at the same time.
Interesting. And you also own a club, right? So Aramco owns Zakariya. Congratulations. The club is doing very well in in the in SPL. What will be the relationship between the club and the stadium? How will you work on that?
So we're taking those at face value as two different entities. Yes, the club is fully owned by the company, but we want to also ensure that the stadium again remains as a full destination of things that people can do more than sports. Qadsiya will remain as the anchor tenant of that facility, and we look at it from different dimensions. One is that such facility that is the first of its kind in terms of world-class facilities and amenities and all of that would support the club in one way or another. And at the same time, we want this to host even more, like friendly matches and national games being played. Aramco has little experience, I would say, before in building sports venues. They have built Al Johara Stadium, or what's now called Al Inma Stadium in Jeddah, the western side of Saudi, which just hosted the national team match a few days back playing with Iraq, where Saudi qualified finally to the 2026 World Cup. But that role that Aramco played there was mainly focused on building the facility and supporting the transition of operation and maintenance. In our case, with Aramco Stadium, we're doing it in a different model. We're not only building it, we're building it, managing it, operationalizing it, and even focused on the fan experience part of it. In the Eastern Province, Aramco has delivered one of the iconic projects there, which is called King Abdulaziz Center for World Culture, or ITHRA, and that was more culture. Now, with the Saudi Vision 2030 and the trending dimension toward supporting the sports in the country, Aramco has taken on this next project of building the stadium in the Eastern region, and with an ambition to take it more than just a typical venue that hosts sports in a day.
And this is very much well supported by the commercial space that you were speaking about. So 11,200 square meters of commercial space, which, as you said, is not typical. We see some entertainment parks being developed in Manchester with Copley, SoFi Stadium. What you plan to do there, right? Because it's not like Hobart, and I've visited, is a tourist map like Barcelona, for example. So how are you thinking about the offering in this huge amount of commercial space?
Very fair, Ignasi. That space was very important to us to complement the overall storyline, I would say, of that destination. So one thing that we have been focused on is that to provide people with a unique offering. If we look at the catchment area of the stadium itself, there are big malls that are being built, for example, focused on retail. And you can imagine when we were designing the stadium, we were thinking, what is it that will differentiate this destination that would bring people on a daily basis? So beside the typical activations of, hosting events like the National Day, the holidays, and all of these, what else we can bring about? So we focused on this, bringing a huge commercial space. And again, as I mentioned at the forefront, this is almost double the global benchmark. And we're focused on two folds, I would say. The flagship F&B concepts, something that relates to the locals, I would say, on some dimension. And the other side is entertainment options. So we've run surveys, we've held focus groups with the people in the catchment area. We wanted to understand more what are the options that they want to see in this region besides the sports offering, and majority was leaning towards that. And that in some sense aligned with our vision as well, to provide something that is sports-centric, but at the same time offers people an opportunity to come and enjoy almost a full day at this destination with all the, at least basic services provided.
And you're already referring to it as Aramco Stadium. So it is quite obvious that Aramco will be the naming right partners of the stadium.
Correct, yes.
What is your broader plans for partnerships, for sponsorships? How are you thinking about that?
So we look at this as a long-term investment for the facility. It's quite easy for Aramco to, I would say, because of the trade name that, frankly speaking, it brings to the global stage, to partners with a lot of partners that can work together with. But we are into this in order to ensure that we bring the partners that are invested in long-term addition to the facility. We want those who would bring added value to the destination as well. Yes, it has to be commercial, but at the same time, we want to ensure that it aligns with the values that we bring to this destination. So we're taking more of a holistic approach, I would say. We're opening the floor with so many partners on the technology side, on the sustainability part, and we will always remain close to the core values of the project that usually Aramco delivers to the kingdom and to the global perspective.
And one of the key opportunities with a master plan like this is activations beyond even the bowl, right? So how are you thinking about that? And you were touching upon the community and the sports. Can you walk us through around this a bit more?
Absolutely. So again, this touches base back with the partners that we're intending to be. Aramco has been doing mainly energy-related projects, I would say. And when this came in, one of the things that we have worked with the corporate management on is ensuring that we have a purpose-built, I would say, governance in order to ensure that there is an entity that can manage and operate the stadium and achieve its visions and objectives, like activating it the right way and making sure that that legal body actually can interact with the market in a more dynamic way. That was a tough part in the equation, but we managed to do it. And there is now a separate legal company created, operational in Saudi Arabia, fully owned by Aramco Group, but it has its own purpose-built governance. So that was one key ingredients that we brought about in order to ensure those are focused on the facility and activating it year-round. And again, capitalizing on the main themes, national holidays and all of that, besides actually inviting the concerts and activations in the master plans that we can potentially bring about.
I think this point is interesting because you're talking about a purpose-built governance, and maybe just for the audience here, why do you think Aramco Stadium needs purpose-built governance?
That's a good and tricky question. I don't know if I can talk a lot about this, but by design, Aramco has its own strong, customized built governance. So, in every project over the 80, 90 years that the company has been there, they have continuously enhanced all aspects of running their businesses. So when it comes to contracting, legal, these have been continuously enhanced to suit the business that Aramco usually does in the market. So good, that is very much excellent for energy-related projects. So whenever and that was a lesson learned when we had that cultural monument that I was talking to you about, Ithra, in the eastern region, we took a model of operating it in-house, and they still had some struggles. Just a quick example, if they were to source, for example, an entertainment event, they would have to follow the same methodology that we do in procuring a big energy contract. So it wasn't the best model. So we thought about it more. We wanted to make sure the big enabler for this destination to thrive is to actually give it its own purpose-built ecosystem and governance in alignment with what's happening globally. So you see a lot of stadiums globally have their own set of management, C-suite, and workforce. Took that to Aramco's corporate management. It wasn't the easiest ride, but we made it, and the company is now there and created. So that's how I would frame the difference.
Congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
Just changing topics, we heard a lot of conferences here, panelists talking about fan experience.
Yes.
and it is something everyone's talking about. How do you envision, how do you are taking seriously fan experience in Aramco Stadium?
I can address Ignasi this in probably two folds. One is we had, the stadium is planned to be opened around the fourth quarter next year, preparing for the AFC in January 2027. And you can imagine that we've already finalized a full roadmap or journey of the visitors that are supposed to be coming to the stadium. From the moment they start interacting with the facility, being purchasing a ticket or going on the website, all the way until they actually leave, all of the journey mapping defined and all of the interesting parts prepared, and also the pain points. So when we were working on this work stream, again, we had focus groups, surveys in the catchment area, and we came to realize that the stadium landscape in Saudi is lacking some of the basics, I would say, like, parking, a good F&B experience during halftime, and all of that. Once we understood that, we said, you know what, maybe our short-term plan in order to bring a different fan experience for the Saudi fans is to actually double down on the basics. So making sure that enough parking spaces are there, because, cars is something that Saudis use a lot. And we don't have much public transportation. It's picking up, but it's not at least there in Khobar yet. And the other part is, for example, the simple basics of bringing good variety and option of food that can be served, like hot food during halftime. What's happening in the stadiums in Saudi is that those are mainly publicly owned, and clubs take the burden of renting the stadium during their matches and trying to operate the F&B options in the stadium. This is not their bread and butter, and they wouldn't be good in operating it. We are taking a different model in Aramco. We're saying, no, stadiums will be rented by Qadsi or any other team who would be playing at that time, but the catering services will be provided by the stadium management itself, and all clubs have to abide by that. Besides its commercial aspects, we want to make sure that we deliver on the fan experience. Again, we're into it now as a capital owner, I would say, who's still involved heavily in it because the company is just ramping up. But we take this as Aramco's name at the door, and we want to make sure that we truly deliver true to Aramco's name and reputation for this facility.
Absolutely. If we can now go to potentially more personal side, what has been most challenging from you? You've had a long career in Aramco. What has been most challenging and different from the other projects that you've run in the company?
I'd go back to creating that company, frankly speaking. You can imagine in big conglomerate companies, it's very hard to create another legal body. They have enough companies that they want to worry about in terms of their businesses. So if anyone would study the project and go back and say, you know what, we need one more company, which Aramco's executive management will have to be involved with in terms of being on the board and getting their just schedules busy and all of that. But I think that was the big gift that we have given that project, because we're enabling it. We're giving it the ecosystem that it can thrive with, and then with supporting it with the right people in the C-suite and with those who will be operating it, the burden is a bit shifts towards them and making sure that they actually deliver on that facility. So this is one thing that I always look back to. Again, a year back we were building a refinery in the middle of the desert. And then the next year we're doing the next world-class venue for the kingdom. So I think that was one thing that was most challenging, but I think would be extremely rewarding over the long run for this facility. It deserves this type of ecosystem in order to deliver on.
And this goes back as well to what you were saying of potentially emulating American type
True.
of American model of operating venues, where obviously Carbo is very important for the venue, but you want to make it more than that, right? And not just a football stadium, but a truly multi-purpose venue.
Yes, Ignasi, you can imagine the club and their established C-suite not being very much happy when we decided that stadium will not be under the club, because it's an asset that they can commercialize. It would help them big time. Any club would want full leverage on a stadium. But we were thinking ecosystem for Aramco, literally. And we look at these big initiatives as contributing to the community at the first place, but also wanting to ensure that they are at least self-sustainable. So if you throw a new stadium or a new facility to a club, it might not be the best model. We've had deliberations with the leadership on what is the right model. We've looked at tremendous number of benchmarks, what's happening in Europe, what's happening in the US. And we thought the best thing for this facility is to ensure it has its own, governance, and it will support the club. It will also support the destination in becoming not only sports theme oriented, but more than that. And this model, I think, is more, you see it more in the US rather than Europe, but each continent, I would say, had their own heritage of how they developed. Like in Europe, for example, majority of the stadiums have been, owned initially by municipalities, and then they were transferred to the clubs and what have you. But we're taking more a model that is a bit more similar to what's happening in the US. So hosting multiple clubs, repurposing the venue, and doing more than football, that's the strategy that we're looking at.
And just expanding on that, because I think it could be interesting for the audience as well, what are the main revenue streams that you are thinking of if you only take the stadium view? Like, forget the club, stadium company, what's the focus today, and how do you expect it to evolve?
I could probably summarize those into 4. So premium offerings is something that we're capitalizing on, because at the end of the day, the numbers speaks for themselves. And now this is a separate body, but show us how it can generate and cover at least its expenses, let alone actually bringing some profit. So premium and hospitality is something that we're looking at very seriously. We're trying to follow different models in what's happening in the market, selling the inventory ahead of the opening time, partnering with things that you have seen today, like digital twin and leaders in the market who do this for a living. Sponsorships is also something that we're looking at. And again, besides its commercial appetite, it's a strategic revenue outlook for us, because we want to make sure it actually aligns with the core values and delivers to the facility and people. F&B, generally speaking, and this includes the M-Bowl, halftime, before match, after match, and also the F&B that's happening, or actually I could put this as the 4th pillar, which is the retail spaces outside the stadium. Again, we're talking about 11,000 square meters, so that's another big revenue lever that we're looking at. But all in all, again, Aramco is into this in order to ensure that they bring a full legacy to the region, and for other stadiums to follow, which we've already been receiving some inquiries and collaborations from so many different stakeholders, and also hopefully for the region overall.
And just to finalize on that one, what do you would like for Aramco Stadium to be remembered for, and what's the legacy that you would like from this project?
I go back to Ithra, or King Abdulaziz monument that the company has built. If you look at any pictures, if you just type in Google Khubar, you would see that building. If you type in Riyadh, for example, you will see Kingdom Tower. So there are some icons in every region in Saudi. Aramco has excelled in delivering that cultural project, and everybody looks back to, and it is always active and supporting the community. We would love to see the Aramco Stadium as the next big thing happening in the Eastern region. And again, the stadium being one, the first one being truly delivered, among 11 more to come, is something that we want to set the benchmark for. And we're doing it with every capabilities that you could imagine within Aramco. To us, it might not be the most revenue generation, to be frank, project or initiative that we do within the company, but it is definitely rewarding on the other community aspect of it. And besides leaving that legacy for other sports initiatives that come in the kingdom, we would want people to come back and look at this and say, how did you do it? Who did you partner with? Why did you do it in this way or the other way?
Yeah, so leading the way a bit, no?
Trying to do so. Trying to be true to Aramco's, again, reputation of excellence and delivering to people. I hear our higher-up executives always in conferences going and capitalizing on these kind of things. Like we're always delivering to our customers. We're trying to set excellence, but we want also to do the same and be true to Aramco's reputation when it comes to these type of projects as well.
Good. Thank you very much, Zakariya. Thank you, everyone, for making it.
Pleasure.
We look forward to welcome you all to
By all
Aramco
means,
Stadium.
you're all welcome. It would be a pleasure to host everyone.